Can you please tell us, are you aware of this story and what could have prompted this move?
Yes, good day to you. I am indeed aware of this story. And in answering, I would just like to refer you to the recent court's judgment pertaining to when the same people, the very same people, were accusing me of having stolen about 10 billion US dollars. And that court judgment came out based on what we had said in the past anyway, was that this was a total fabrication. And because of that judgment, and that they have now got egg on their face, that their lies have been exposed, and that in fact they are the ones who are the criminals, they are trying to retaliate by coming up with and inventing other fabricated stories. So this one that you've just referred to, none of my security personnel have been implicated, as you said, in any robbery. None of them have been arrested. No weapons have been found to have belonged to me, which were accused in this robbery. It's just these people, once again, trying to discredit me and others around me in trying to, like I said, get back at the fact that one case after the other, the state is losing from all its fabricated evidence.
Former President, in a normal democracy, a former president's security is provided by the state. And clearly the protection service will have been vetted. And all those around a former president or sitting president would have received intelligence clearance. In terms of your protection, are you using government services? Are the people who are supposed to provide security for you have been assigned by government? Or is this private security?
Indeed, I have got government security, although ever since I came into office, they have done everything to try to undermine and degrade the type of security that they can provide, which forced me then to augment them with private security. And of course, they resent the fact that I had to bring in private security, and they're trying all their best. They once actually arrested some of my private security. They were found in possession of a paintball gun, a toy gun. And these people who are supposed to be professional cannot tell the difference between a real weapon and a toy weapon. And they took them to court, trying to say that they had in their possession a toy gun, which was supposed to be used to harm Masisi. And of course, the magistrate's court threw it out. The magistrate, knowing better than they do, both the police and the DIS, what a proper gun looks like. So this is just something which has been going on for 3 years. And it hasn't ended, and I don't expect it will ever end either. And that's why we are in court with these people on a regular basis. And because they have been found to be violating the rule of law and the constitution in this country, they are losing all the cases. And we are in the process of suing them at each instance. And I would just refer to the words you used at the opening of that statement. You said, in a normal democracy. Botswana is no longer a normal democracy. We are the Belarus of Africa.
Former President, the Human Rights Commission at some point in time, I think 2 months ago, issued a statement that your concerns around your security are justified. What could have prompted this report?
The Human Rights Commission, are you talking about the United Nations?
Yes, the United Nations, saying that your concerns around your security in terms of perhaps the danger you are facing in that country. What could have prompted the United Nations Human Rights Commission representatives to look at this issue?
It was my initiating an international organization, because there's nowhere I can go in this country to seek redress based on the fact that all the agencies of the state are being used against me. So I had to go outside using an international agency to approach the United Nations on my behalf to bring to their attention that there had been attempts to poison me. So the United Nations wrote to this regime on the 26th of March and gave them 60 days in which they were hoping to get a response or feedback to what the UN had engaged them on. We're now in September. It's 6 months since the UN wrote to them, and they haven't responded. And in my book, that means that it shows that they are guilty because they know what they tried to do. I'm sticking to that line, and they haven't given the UN any evidence or information at all to counter the allegations.
Have you reached out to leaders in the region, in the SADC region, perhaps sitting heads of state and government or former heads of state and government, people you served with during your tenure?
I have written recently, especially after this court judgment, where I enclosed the documents of the fabricated affidavit as evidence. I enclosed a 208-page report that was done by an international agency, which went to all the allegations and proved that that affidavit was false, including the judgment of the High Court, which also came out very clearly that the entire affidavit was fabricated, and that the government officials who were implicated in putting that affidavit together have to now face the music for their illegal actions. So I have written to a couple of heads of state and international organizations.
Can you mention perhaps their heads of states?
If you don't mind, I would rather not, because these people would then try their best to go and intervene to try and ensure that what I have written to them is undermined. So I would wait until I'm sure they have received the correspondence, and then maybe one can reveal who they are.
And finally, former President, in terms of the solution, at some point in time, this must come to an end. And we have seen on the continent former heads of states going in and out of court, fighting with the incumbent. How do we deal with this? When someone leaves office, the incumbent and that former or predecessor, there should be a sound relations, because a former head of state can still play a role in a particular country or on the continent or around the world.
When you're dealing with reasonable and mature thinking people, that would be how it should pan out. But unfortunately, in our case, it's just that this person wants to totally erode the past, the legacy, reverse everything that was done, even though we came from the same party at the time, because as you know, I'm no longer with them. But it's not just about me. I want to emphasize that it's not about me. There are many people in this country who have been targeted by this regime. And the nation of Botswana is suffering because of the poor governance that we are experiencing. And if you look, when I talked about the court cases, there are other court cases that people I'm referring to have won against the state because the state have illegally targeted them. So like I say, it's not about me. The solution going forward, in my opinion, right now as I speak to you, there's only one solution, and that is for this regime and its leader to go. Once they are out of office, then I'm confident that things will return to normal. Botswana will regain the reputation it has and cease to become the banana republic that Masisi has made it.
Thank you so much, former President, for your time.
You're very welcome.